Hi, my name is Rosie and welcome to Rosie Knits. I am pre-filming this podcast before I have my baby just so that I have a little bit of content to fill the gap after I have the baby to keep the YouTube algorithm happy. So I am filming this on July 6th. It is probably mid-July when you are watching this, maybe late July. Just know if you see the feeding tube, baby's not here right now while I'm filming this, but I am getting induced on July 11th. So baby should be here by now. Assume everything is going well if this video is up. I will be back to making more in-the-moment content soon, but for now, this is pre-recorded. So this is going to follow a normal podcast format. However, it's probably going to be a pretty short podcast today just because I have been finishing things up and not starting new things before the baby comes. So let's go into finished objects. My first finished object are my Through the Wood mittens. And these were a work in progress in my last podcast, but I also had a green and white version that were finished objects in the last one. But this sample, oh, isn't that so pretty? I love the blue and white. I just think it looks so Nordic. This sample is knit using Cardiff Cashmere Small, and it is so soft. My first time ever using cashmere, and I'm really proud with how these turned out. If you've watched any of my podcasts before, you know this is a self-drafted pattern, and the test knit for these have finished. I have sent the last version to my editor and gotten it back. So I'm actually ready to just press publish on Ravelry for this pattern. I just want the pattern to come out when people are making mittens. So it'll come out late August or early September when it's more mitten making season, but these are ready to go after the baby is here. So I designed these myself. They are inspired by the song Over the River and Through the Woods to Grandmother's House We Go. And so you have the two hands that come together to make the horse. The inside is a holly leaf motif, and there's a little flower on the thumbs. So I'm really, really happy with how these turned out. My next finished object is my Darling Cardigan by Kutuvakika or Veronica Lindberg. And I have a full vlog that I also pre-filmed before the baby. That should have been my last video, so if you'd like to see all of the details of making this, I'll link it. Usually it's here, is where YouTube puts links. This is my Darling Cardigan. I knit the size medium using 2 strands of drops brushed alpaca in the color sage green. And it is fuzzy, it is fun, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is my first cardigan, so I've knit a lot of sweaters, first cardigan, and it does feature a double knit button band. You can't really see that detail because of how fuzzy this yarn is, but it just gives it a crisp look. I knit this using 5mm needles. I was right on gauge, and normally I'm a tight knitter, so I was perfectly on gauge for this pattern. I actually haven't checked post-blocking, but pre-blocking I was perfectly on gauge. So it's just kind of fuzzy, oversized, casual. It is a deep V-neck. And I'm really happy with these buttons. I got them off of Etsy. I'll try and link them in the description as well. They're kind of these mother of pearl, but they have a greenish tint to them. And yeah, I don't have much more to say about this other than I knit my first cardigan and I'm really happy with it. And again, I went into all of the details of making this. So if you're interested in hearing more, go ahead and check out that video. My last 2 finished objects I do not have physically to show you because they were gift knits, but I did take lots of videos and pictures, so I will be putting them on the screen for you to see. But I self-drafted 2 stockings to gift to my friend Allison, who is also expecting, and these were a baby shower gift for her. I've talked about this before on the channel, so again, I won't go too much into detail to the story behind making these stockings. But she wanted a matching set of stockings for her and her family, and so she had asked me to help her make a pattern. So she designed the stockings and I made them a reality and made the knitting pattern for them so that she is learning to knit and wants to make some for her daughter, and then I knit hers and her husband's. I got interrupted by a phone call from my mom, so hopefully I remember where I was. Love you, Mom. She's coming today, which is exciting because we're getting induced this Saturday, so my mom is in town, so very excited to see her. What was I saying? Stockings. So yes, long story short, I self-drafted the pattern for these stockings so that my friend could knit some for her family that she is having, but part of the baby shower gift was that I would make the one for herself and her husband so that she didn't have to knit quite so many stockings because she is a newer knitter. So I self-drafted these patterns and I'm really happy with how these turned out. I knit them using Cascade Heritage 6, which is a sport weight yarn, and I will link the colors and everything down below. And I'm just really happy with how these turned out. They were a really fun knit, and I kind of want to maybe make some for my own family and my own daughter that I'm having. So you might see more stockings in the future. I have made the pattern, I've written it up and everything, but I'm not entirely happy with it. There's one or two things design-wise before I would release it as a pattern that I would want to change just to make it a little bit easier to follow as a pattern, versus my friend had a very specific vision, and so I was perfectly making her perfect stockings, but there's things that I would change if I was releasing it as a pattern, and I would maybe make more of the motifs that you can trade out in the center, so each of the stockings look identical, but then they have their own main motif that are different, and I would maybe make more of those before I release this as a pattern. So maybe this winter we'll see more stockings, maybe next winter, but I'm really happy with how these turned out. So those are also a finished object. And now let's go on to works in progress. My first work in progress is a Sophie scarf, and I just hit halfway right here. So I've just started the decreases. So this is half of how long it will be. And this was a work in progress in my last podcast. So again, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot here, but this is what I've been working on. This is knit using Drops Air, and I had about a skein and a half, and I measured the weight of that, balled up half of it. When I hit just slightly less than half is when I started decreasing, so I can use up every little last bit of this leftover yarn. So this is something that is just kind of a background whip right now. I imagine with a baby, it's super mindless, so this is something I can just kind of get a row in here or there postpartum. So there's my progress on that. I have really been spending most of my time trying desperately to finish my darling cardigan before the baby arrives, so I don't really have many other works in progress. But my other that I just picked up again that was a languishing whip were my hibernal socks, and they are in a Ziploc bag because these reek. The yarn it's a Drops sock yarn, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will put it up here. I think it's Drops Fable is what it is. Drops, that sounds right. I think it's Drops Fable. And it smells so sheepy. And this was a languishing whip because with the pregnancy nose and hyperemesis and everything, I could not stand the smell of these. And it's still pretty strong. It's pretty sheepy, so it stays in the bag. But I have made a few more rows on this. I actually am not going to take it out right now. I'm going to hold it up for you to see. It has this lovely cable detail. It's a mock cable actually, and I have finished the length of the foot of the first sock, and I just started the heel and have not made much progress. So this is one I don't anticipate working on much before the baby arrives, or even after the baby arrives, but I have picked it up again, so this is a work in progress. And those are all of my works in progress, so let's go to future plans. I'm having a baby, so my future plans are pretty rough right now, but the only thing, I do have an acquisition, and that is this Drops Cotton Merino and the shade Black, and I got 15 skeins of this to make the Petite knit zipper sweater man light for my husband. So I think he's gonna really love this. He knows, he helped me pick out the yarn and the color and everything. So I think the cotton merino is a little more approachable. It's not super woolly for someone who doesn't wear a lot of knitwear. And I've never done a quarter zip before, and I'm really excited to learn that skill. The reason I'm also really excited about this is once I do the top shaping, it's stockinette in the round. So that's also, I think, gonna be a good postpartum project. And also, one of my future plans that's way down the road, probably this winter, maybe, if I can get to it, I would love to make the 1980 Dala design Lake Placid Norwegian ski sweater. I'm sure if you watch any other knitting podcasts, you've heard of other knitters making these Dala design Norwegian ski team Olympic sweaters, and this one's my favorite, the 1980 Lake Placid design. But I would love to maybe modify it to be a quarter zip, but I don't quite know how approachable that is because I've never done a quarter zip before. So we're using my husband's zipper sweater as maybe the dry run for that. So I'm excited about that. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.